Not that long ago, Rachel Dolezal was a branch president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. She was also the chair of Spokane's police ombudsman commission. She went from being one of the most respected civil rights activists around to being the most hated woman in America. She deceived almost every single person she knew into thinking that she was a black woman, when it turns out she was white the whole time. So why did she do it? This is the untold truth of Rachel Dolezal. What's gravy? You're watching InformOverload. We tell you about the most interesting news stories we find on the internet, and we also serve you the spiciest tea-spilling top 10 lists on YouTube. Right now, I'm about to do some in-depth coverage of a story I had never heard about until I did my list, the top 10 influencers who are pretending to be another race. I found the story of Rachel Dolezal fascinating, and I wanted to dive all the way in. Subscribe so we get to hang out on the regs and follow us on social media so we can connect outside of YouTube. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Rachel Dolezal was born in rural Montana in 1977. She was raised by fundamentalist Christian parents. Because of her parents' strict ideals, Rachel grew up playing out imaginary scenarios in her mind where she was a princess in Egypt and her parents had kidnapped and adopted her. She'd always somewhat felt like she didn't belong. Eventually, this feeling led to her identifying as a completely different race. Over time, she started crafting a false history for herself, where her father was African American and she had a black son. She taught at East Washington University and she was beloved by her students. She was known in her community for being a respected civil rights activist. Until one day, on June 11, 2015, when a local television news crew interviewed her. Rachel was under the impression that they were going to talk to her about hate crimes, but then the reporter asked the question that would change Rachel's life forever. Are you African American? Rachel responded with, "I don't understand the question." The reporter continued, "Are your parents white?" Rachel walks away from the cameras.
Are your parents, are they white?
It turns out that Rachel's own parents were the ones that outed her. They released photographs of her as a child that show she was blonde and white. They went on TV to expose their daughter as a fraud. And after that, it was all downhill from there. Dolezal's face was plastered on every newspaper in America. Footage from the interview made international headlines. Dolezal quit her position at the NAACP, she was let go by the university, the newspaper she wrote weekly columns for, and she lost her position at the police ombudsman commission. She was called a race faker, guilty of blackface, a cultural appropriator, and mentally ill. Some people made the connection between her and her adopted black siblings, saying that they must have been what led her to want to change her identity. Rachel denied this, but said that she was inspired by books she read because of her adopted siblings. Books by James Baldwin, Father John, and Spencer Perkins, who were civil rights activists in Jackson, Mississippi. When Rachel finished high school, Dolezal went to Belhaven, a Christian college in Jackson, so that she could be close to the Perkinses. She soon thought of them as her mentors. She regarded Spencer as a father figure. John was Grandpa Perkins. While she was there, she lived with a couple in a black neighborhood, Donna and Sam Pollard. Donna wrote in a Facebook post, "I remember hearing her heart through our conversations about how she knew it in her heart that she was supposed to be born black. Her struggle was tear-jerking real. We cried together many times while I listened, trying to understand how she felt inside and even tried, through scripture, to convince her it was just a phase she was going through." Pollard was the first woman that braided Rachel's hair. It was in this community that people started treating her differently. She married an African American man and moved to Idaho. Her husband didn't approve of her wearing black hairstyles or reading about black history. They divorced in 2004, which also led to a falling out between Rachel and her own parents, who were of course Christians, who were against divorce. This was the turning point. Rachel started dressing how she wanted to, styling her hair how she wanted to, and by 2006, she was identifying as a black woman. She claimed that her dad was black to avoid awkward long conversations. One of her adopted brothers, Isaiah, moved in with Rachel when he was 16. Rachel started calling him her son, but she did adopt him legally eventually. She also adopted a new father figure when she moved to Idaho, Albert Wilkerson, who worked at the Human Rights Education Institute that Rachel was an education director at until 2010. She would refer to Albert as her dad and Isaiah as her son, even on social media. Everyone assumed that Albert was her biological father, because that's what she called him. She called him her dad. Within 24 hours of her biological parents exposing her, everything she worked for her whole life was taken away. People were sending her family members texts telling her to kill herself. Everyone was trying to understand why she wanted to identify as a different race. She rejected the notion of being transracial because she says she doesn't believe in race. In 2016, she changed her name to Ncheki Diallo. She couldn't get a job and was living off food stamps and help from friends. In 2018, she was arrested and charged with committing welfare fraud. Court documents say that she illegally received more than $8,747 in food assistance, money she didn't need because she wrote a book, In Full Color, Finding My Place in a Black and White World. She deposited a total of $83,924 between August 2015 to September 2017. She later agreed to a plea deal and avoided charges. Well, there you have it. I know you probably have a lot of thoughts on this one down there in the comments. Go nuts. For now, I'm gonna wrap up this video with some comment features from my video. This model is not a real person. Vio said, this breaks my heart. I had a gay crush on Shudu and now she's not real. Yeah, sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I was shocked too. I thought she was real. Crystal Lay said, IO family, happy Thanksgiving. Yes, and happy Thanksgiving to all of our American subscribers. Eat lots of turkey and potatoes. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe if you want more, and I'm gonna see you in a future IO video.